Hi there, let's continue with the guide. Okay, so in the last video we ended up with this guide that is halfway done. We have the spine, the legs, and the head and arms, but we need to finish some of the parts like the fingers and some of the facial features. So let's continue with that. Just gonna open again my guides UI. Just adjust a little bit my interface, and yeah, let's continue with the fingers. And so for the fingers, I'm gonna add this kind of configuration. So just let me put this. So we have, obviously we have 5 fingers, so we need to add this 4 and the thumb. So I'm gonna build something like a guide here, around here, that it's with the component meta. It's for metacarpal. So this is gonna help when you have your hand to, if you have, this is the 4 fingers and the thumb, so to spread the fingers wider like this in the palm, or to compress like this. So we'll compress there. You can rotate, you can also scale, so you can have this kind of effect where this, it's even smaller, the pinky, and the index it's bigger. And also I'm gonna add the second row here. This is gonna be just a row of simple controls. So this one here, that it's gonna go around here, So this one, it's indeed, it's this is fake. This is something that you will not have in the real life. But if we check this from the side, like this will be here, around this place, just where the thumb like have his insertion. So when you put the fist, sometimes you have around here the knuckles, so your fingers ends up here, like let's say something like that. But this is very long and straight like that. And sometimes, depending on the character, if the fingers are so long and thin, you end up with something that you have kind of big gap here, and then the thumb there. I don't know if you can see this properly with this draw, but basically this space here and this line here is gonna be too big, and it's kind of unpleasant, and even when you grab something, it's hard to grab for the characters. It lacks like flexibility on the arm, on the hands. So I think this here, just here, you can add slightly tilt hand like this. So this is not something that you will do on your, in the realistic hand, but for cartoons and expressive hand, it gives an extra flexibility that gave this appealing, that it's something that is really grabbing, really organic. So we're gonna add this here. Okay, so that's all the special things that we will add. So let's start. For the fingers, the first intuition is to make a child of this one, and that's correct. But there is a design here that it should be child of this one, and the reason is because this and this represents also connectors inside the arm. And this connector, if we think on terms of how it's gonna be deforming, we have some joints that is gonna be spread along the forearm, and here we will have 2 very close ones to another. This one will have a number depending of the configuration. Let's say it's gonna be 8, and this one it's gonna be called end. The end is the one that you want to attach your fingers. It's the one that represents the palm of your hand. And to represent this connection, because I cannot represent two connections in the same locator, I use this one here. So this represents the end. And you don't need to trust me. We can check it. So I'm just gonna build it quickly, the arm there, and I'm gonna hide here. So you can see here, this is gonna be 8, and this is gonna be end. You see here end, and this is 8. So if we check the rotations axis, so we can go here, select the hierarchy, and show the locals. So if I have this one, so I can roll like this, so everything is moving as expected, because when you roll your forearm, the palm rolls with that. But if I tilt, you can see now, oops, it's this one, sorry, whoop. You can see, especially here, it's clearly that this is the palm that is going down. You can see here, this axis is pointing down, and this is keeping straight. So if you have, like, let's say a watch or something, you want to attach it to this part. If you have something in the hand, you want to attach it to this part. Okay, so that's clear. Let's delete this temporal rig, and let's finally add the new component. It says it's gonna be metacarpal. It's gonna be negative z, and you see, oh wait, you said 3. Why 3? Okay, because it's the spams. So you have 1, 2, 3, and the root, it's gonna be the first one. So indeed, this is what we need. And you say, okay, wait, but you say you're gonna place it there, and you create it under this. Yeah, there is 2 reasons to do that. First, it's convenience, so it's easier to put it here and later reparent. And yeah, and the second one is because I just forget to select the other one. So you can obviously do it like that and don't forget to reparent, or you can go straight forward and do it from this one. The naming convention I use here is meta, and by default the interpolate scale, rotation, and translation is active, so you don't need to change too much here. And I'm just gonna close this, and I'm just gonna place it. It doesn't need to be very exact for the moment. I think with this position it's gonna be good enough. And I want to talk something that I didn't talk yet. It's the UI host. So the UI host, it's let's go to the board again. Whoops. Okay, there. So UI host, it's the option that we have here, channel host settings. And basically you have a, let's say I have this guide that it's an arm, for instance, and this arm has several channels like IKFK, oops, IKFK. I have I don't know, the volume, max stretch, and so on. So I have several channels here, and these channels needs to be accessed by the animators in order to animate the rig. So where I put these channels, where I want these channels to be accessible. So by default, if you don't set anything, every time I build, let's make again the example with the arm, they go into the base control. In this case, it's the wall one here. So if I select this one, you can see I have my arm, NFK, roll, scale, volume, everything is there. So That's okay. I mean, you can do it like that if you want, but it's gonna be hard to navigate later because it's gonna be super long list. So what you want is to organize your controls under some UI host with some meaning. So you want the left arm in one side, the right arm in one side, and so on. And this is related also with the option here on the guide, like if you use the classic channel names or you're gonna use the new channel's name. So this is unchecked. If you hover your mouse here, you can see, oops, sorry, I cannot move, of course, but you can see that the naming is gonna change. It's gonna use the full name of the component or just the name of the original component. So in this case, the full name, it will have a site and index, and the original doesn't. So that's important. Just hover here and take a few seconds to read these instructions, but I'm gonna go over here and explain it. So basically, we have this UI host, we have this channel configuration. So let's check how it behaves with the example of another arm. So I'm just gonna symmetrize this. I use my shortcut, but you have the hotkey here. I recommend to set the shortcuts, the hotkeys, using the mGear utilities, create mGear hotkeys, and then set your own configuration. Now, it's not gonna override any hotkey. It's just creating the commands for you on the hotkey editor. Okay, so let's go and check the configuration for the channels. So if I select these two and I build, so it's building my two arms. I'm just gonna isolate the rig so we can see it here. And just wait a second, I have only one channel for blend and it says arm. So both arms, one channel. What's going on here? Okay, this is related with our configuration here. So if I use classic, uncheck classic and have the new system, it has this behavior. If, because it's using the same name, so this is an arm, it's gonna be blend, and this is an arm, it's gonna be arm blend. It says exactly the same. So if you have the same, I don't know where I place it, but yeah. If you have the same UI host, in this case is the world CTL. I'm sorry, I don't know where it's coming. I think. Okay, like this, better. So I have my world CTL here, and so the first arm arrives and say, okay, there is a arm blend. No, it's not there. Okay, I'm just gonna create arm blend. This is my channel. Then arrive the second arm and say, oh, there is an arm blend. Oh, there is one. So I'm just gonna use it because it's the one I need. So this one is gonna use several components. So the several components is gonna use the same one. So this is on purpose. This is designed. So in some situations you want to share the same blend thing or the same channel. In some situations you don't want. So how do you solve this issue? Of course, you need to set different UI hosts for each of the parts that you want to separate. This is one option. Okay, if I don't want to do it, can I share the same UI host with all my components? Of course you can. You just need to set it to the classic. So I'm just gonna delete my my rig again. Configure the guide here to use the classic channel naming. Again, I'm just gonna select my two arms, build again. And if I check again my world control, now I have arm left and arm right. So now to make the IKFK, I need to do on the both arms. So that's cool, but let's check for a second the, just gonna click this. Okay, so I have clean. Okay, so let's check for a second what we have here. So I have a full name, arm left 0 blend and arm right 0 blend. So that's okay, that's what I expect, no? So different channels, because I cannot use the same name for the same channel in the same object. Cool. But there is an issue here, and you will see quickly. Now I'm gonna add the UI host, and I'm just gonna create one under the shoulder, for instance, and or as here, and I will explain something else later. But okay, so I have my control. I'm gonna call this one arm UI. This is usually the naming I use for that. And for this one, I don't need any animatable channel, so I just uncheck everything. I want to use a cross, something I don't use too often on the other control, so it's easier to recognize. And yeah, that's all for the moment. So I'm gonna move it here. And now for my arm, I'm just gonna edit this, select here the new component, and I use the root as a pointer for my UI host. Cool. Just need to resymmetrize this so the parameters get updated on the other side, and this is doing automatically for you the right. So the first one was the left, and this is gonna be renamed right if it has this UI host set up there. Okay, cool. So I just want to select my 4 components, the ones I want to build. So I'm just selecting this so I don't build everything else. So I'm just gonna build everything. Of course, remember to select the UI host. If you don't build the UI host, it's gonna fall back again on the world control. Okay, so I have again my rig, my test rig here, and now I have my left arm on the left UI host and my right arm on the right UI host with the right naming, and everything looks super nice. Okay, so let's now change both arms to the FK. So select both UI hosts. I have my channel here that apparently is the same name. So boom, change. Wait a second. What? It's only one select. What's going on here? I want to change my other arm. It's not working. Yeah, it's not working, but not because interesting. It warned us. I think this is new from my 2018. I didn't saw this error, but it's good because what it's saying is that it doesn't match the blend somewhere. I don't know. It's interesting. But the thing is, because these have left side and these have right side, even here looks the same name. It doesn't match. It doesn't have the same name. So the Maya cannot switch both at the same time because they are not the same blend. So there is an issue here. So it depends how you want to design your configuration for the channels. You need to choose one option or other. So if we do the same, but we check or uncheck the classic naming, we'll see that now it's much better. So I'm going to select my 2 arms, select my 2 UI hosts again, and build. Now that I have separated my UI host and build everything, if I again highlight, looks the same. The only difference you will note here is it's called arm, because it's using a universal name for each component of the same type. So it's not using the left or right, because it doesn't make sense if it shares the components. And this one is the same. So now if I select this, look at that. Now I can edit both at the same time, selecting both UI host. So that's a design. It's how it works. So if you use the non-classic version and you split the UI host, you have a better organization. If you share the UI host, it's going to share the channels. That's on purpose. And if you want completely separate any situation, use the classic channels. And you will say, okay, but I want sometimes to have UI host, the channels that are sometimes use classic naming and sometimes use the new naming convention. You can't. Sorry, but that's something I have been talking with animators on other colleagues, and we ended up with the decision that you take this option as a general design on your patterns of your rig, and everything is consistent with this setting. So, or all the channels are one way, or the channels are the other way. So, because it can be really messy to change everything by component. It's possible. I mean, it's nothing stops to do it. If you want to dig on the code and change some parts, it's totally possible. It was just a decision on design and usability. So this is how it works. Okay, great. So that's clear, all this explanation. And now let's go to the other thing. I want to comment on the UI host. And it's the following. So now I have my UI host set for the ARM, but if I check my meta, oh wait, it's not set. So it's good. I didn't make it yet because I just wanted to talk a little bit better on the guides placing before going to this part. But it's better if you set the UI host and at the same time that you are setting your guides as soon as possible, because you don't want to go later after all your components and replace everything. So now I have to set it there. I have to go to my shoulder that is here and do the same thing. And we will do it because now it's too late to regret. But if you set it like I did now, so if my component have this set and now I create something else from, child of this one, like I want to create now my control here, it will set the host completely automatically for you. So that's the advantage. You don't need to set it anymore. So the same way that he takes the left and right for you, it's gonna take the UI host. So that's important. Okay, let's continue with the fingers. Let me check. We got 22 minutes. Okay, let's see if we can finish the hand before 30 minutes. So just gonna go there. And how I call this, well, to be honest, I don't know exactly how it will be on the real life because it doesn't exist, but I'm gonna call it meta mid or middle position meta, something like that. Do one joins. I don't want the world space orientation. I want to use the orientation of the control itself as the final orientation for the control, the orientation of the root as a final orientation for the control. And oops, great. Oh, I think I missing some shortcuts here, sorry for that. Okay, 0. And we will go later over this and align this with the well, not with the meta, but with the finger, so everything is the same orientation. We will check this later. It's not something that we can like completely know upfront. Okay, so we have not universal scaling, and that's not needed for the moment, so that's good to go. Now I'm just gonna duplicate here, so this is gonna be the second, third, and fourth. And yeah, probably I'm gonna leave it like that for the moment, and later we will adjust also the position. So now I'm just gonna take care on the reparenting. So remember this one, it's child of this, but I want each to be parent of a different one. So I'm just gonna reparent this, and that's the final one. So now everything is parent correctly. Now for the thumb to continue on the base, I want an extra control. I'm just gonna duplicate this one here because I need the same parent that is the same, but this one should be called differently. This is thumb and I call this base. I'm just gonna set my index to 0, and this one I really don't need the joint, so that's in one thing, but I do need that it's like animatable. And yeah, I can leave everything on honestly, I'm looking only for the rotation, but I think it doesn't hurt to have everything there. And I'm just gonna set this to circle. You will see later. So basically this one is gonna be placed here, around there. So it's in the like kind of the base of the around there. Let's try like this, and later when we do skinning and everything, we can decide if it's the right position or we want to update this one. So this one, it's kind of flat to the palm itself. It's not oriented to the thumb. And if we check here, so we have, let's say, this is our thumb here, and I'm placing this one here. So this is gonna help to have a rotation around the plane of the palm of the thumb. So normally the thumb, because it's in the diagonal, so the axis orientation is not something that you can rotate just flat, let's say, to this axis. I just, so if we think this is our palm, and here, let's say this is our fingers that come in from there like this. Sorry for the draw, it's not super good like perspective, but I hope you get the idea. So this is the fingers. So let's say the insertion of the palm will be thumb will be around here, and then going under there, so it's going here. But I want this on this plane here. So the let's say the x-axis goes in this direction, the z-axis goes in this direction, and well, it doesn't matter, and the y-axis, something like that. So this is the plane that I'm looking for here. So this will allow this oops, wrong shortcut. What? Okay. So this, I think I saved it from last time. Okay, so we'll rotate that around this. I think it's enough explanation. Now let's create the fingers. And I think after that, I'm gonna stop the video here and we'll continue the next one. So for the fingers, I'm just going to use the new component, the light chain. It's basically a super simple FK chain. So I'm just gonna create this. Okay, that's good. So again, we have 3 spans. That is what we need. And it's child of the thumb. So this is gonna be thumb. Okay, so it's child of the thumb base. And I'm just gonna place it there. So for the moment, it's not in the right position. So I'm just gonna offset this one around there, and then use the rotation to place these 2. I'm just gonna try to make it as bad as I can. Again, this is something that we don't need. I mean, ideally, of course, you do it perfect first time, but yeah, usually after skinning, you want maybe to readjust a little bit some parts. Okay, so just placing that. So as you can see, I'm navigating my locators with a shortcut that they have set. It's the pick walk, but the custom one that you can set it on the also on the hotkeys for mGear. And there is a video on the YouTube channel that you can check to see how it works. But basically, in this case, in this situation, it's a multi-purpose pick walk, but in this one, it's skipping the shapes of the objects. So I can navigate only the transforms. It's not special for the guides or anything like that. Okay, so I want this like that. And just for the blade, I want just to comment here that if I build my finger, I want this, it's flat to the nail. It's almost there. But the flat is defined by this. So I'm just gonna offset a little bit. So you can see if I offset just a little, I'm just gonna build again You don't need to delete the old guide. You see, now it's a little tilt. And well, honestly, the first version was better, but you can see the difference here, that it was the purpose. Okay, so I'm just going there and take my blade and just set it the old one. Okay, and now for the finger, same thing, going for my light chain 3, and it's gonna be called finger. I don't name the fingers like index, middle, ring, and pinky. I use finger 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So I'm gonna use neutral, and I'm not gonna override this. So why I use this is well, there's some advantages, and especially it's more methodic. So what I mean is, like, if it's not human, if it's the character with less fingers, and so on. So how do you handle that? So okay, just don't use the names, use index. So I'm just gonna, so here, just gonna move this. Okay, with there, around there. And some people will ask me, but do you match the guides using some kind of the constraint center or things like that? And yeah, sometimes I use it, but not always, because for instance, in this situation, for me, it's more important that I keep control under my axis and my final structure than the exact center. Because if I use the match thing, because it's not like perfect sphere, circular, the section, it's gonna have little offsets, like this is gonna be a little off like this and like that. And this is something that I absolutely don't want to keep, especially the fingers and things like that. You want to keep as much control as possible. So I'm gonna use it like that. And just for the record, the UI host is being set correctly. And now just gonna duplicate quickly, 1, 2, 3, and reparent, parent, and parent. Okay, so that's it for this video. And the next video we will just save. Don't forget to save. In the next video we will continue with the guide and setting the settings. Yeah, setting the settings. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye bye.